I think I under predicted 2021, so I think it's going to be way, way too much at 2022. But we'll get to that in a bit. Actually, let's just get to it now. I had a little bit of a rant about this on the Discord a wee while ago. So I'd done the math. In 2021, we had Fizzbands, 2 campaign settings, 2 adventures, and I think for 1 year, that might be a little bit too much. $50 each, that's $250 annually just for the base core books. And then you've got additional dice sets, you've got additional video games, and there's lots of extra things you can buy on top of that. And including special editions of the book. So like the core thing where they're selling the 3 basic books in one box. But I'd done the math and I was trying to figure out if you had 1 session a week, everybody attended, and you ended up getting 1 level every session. So the progression would go quite quickly. Could you do all of the 2021 books in 1 year? So starting out, we have Candlekeep, which is level 1 to level 16. So that's 16 out of 52. The Witchlight book, the Feywild book, is level 1 to 8. So we could call that 16 plus 8, 24. And then the campaign settings, we're going to give it... Average game goes from level 3 to level 10. So I'm being generous here. So that's for 2 books, that's 14 sessions to get through both Strixhaven and Ravenloft, which I don't think is going to be realistic, but this is theory crafting. So let's do the maths here. 16, 24, and then add another 14 on that. That's 34, 38. So if we include session 0s and all, that's 42 out of 52 weeks in a year. Yeah, and then I said we'd give a one-shot for Christmas and a Summer Beach one-shot. That'd be 48, so yeah, you could, but Wizards are producing more content than normal people, normal consumers can keep up with. And the only sort of person that's going to have access to all of the books is someone that either buys a subscription or has D&D Beyond, or the whales, the sort of people that will buy everything that's produced. I think for 1 year, that could be a potential business plan. But if you think about it business-wise, I'm sure Hasbro has told Wizards of the Coast, and in turn has told Dungeons and Dragons department, make as much as possible in 1 year. We had record profits in 2020 because of the disease. But if they have record profits, they're going to try and squeeze out as many books as possible until the fans are exhausted. As a fan, I would like them to slow down on the pace of books that are coming out until the big anniversary and the fabled 5.5 or 6th edition comes out in a couple of years. But I've got a feeling they're going to put the foot on the gas and they're going to make as much as possible. They're going to try and get out as much as possible before 6th edition or 5.5 edition. Now, I do hope that 5.5 is compatible, but I think that when 5th edition Player's Handbook came out, it was designed to streamline the rules because 4th edition was too complicated. There was so much history and narrative, and it was hard for your average person to cover everything. And now that 5th edition has been out for a few years, I think that it's got to the point in its life cycle. The hardcore players are bored of the base game and they want something different and interesting, but it may be getting to a point where there's so much content, it's alienating the newcomers. It feels like they're trying to appeal to 2 different audiences, which I don't know if that's just going to dilute the player base or if that's going to be working. Some of the books have been hit and miss, so I think that the bigger the volume of books, the bigger the library they build up, the more confusing it's going to be for a newcomer to decide, okay, we've got the Player's Handbook, where do we go from here? I think the best thing they can do is to put out a roadmap for new players, or not even new players, but if you go from scale of 1 to 5, 1 being novice, 5 being crusty old expert that's been around since the 60s, got to give a roadmap for level 2 players. I'm a whale due to running a YouTube channel. I wish Wizards of the Coast would slow down too. I'm glad I'm not the only person that thinks this, because I can see this with Magic the Gathering as well, and I've seen this with a lot of video games. Their content schedule just ramps up and ramps up. You take World of Warcraft, for example. The base game has gotten to the point where it's so bloated over years and years of content that new players or players that were nostalgic for the first edition of World of Warcraft just started recreating basic servers, and the demand was so high Blizzard had to start making WoW Classic. So there is an argument to be made for a D&D Classic, a lighter version of the rules, because I think at this point they're getting closer to Pathfinder in that regard. For those that don't know, Pathfinder is the alternative to 3.5 edition. Wizards went with 4th edition, and this offshoot company, Paizo, I think, made Pathfinder as someone for people that wanted to still play 3.5 rules. And this had a massive, massive rulebook, which it's so thick. It's personally, I keep it under my bed just in case someone tries to break in, and I can smack them over the head with this book because it's so heavy. It's a personal weapon. But Pathfinder tangents aside, I do think that they're producing too much stuff. They're not going to stop until people stop buying the books. I'm just glad that they've not started to try and introduce NFTs yet, because that's just going to put a lot of people off. That would leave a sour taste in their mouth, which coincidentally leads us on to some of the predictions for the next year.